because women are disproportionately affected, specifically black women, and they've been doing numerous different reports on multiple different channels. Check it out.
They have no idea how I feel. It's just horrible. It's horrible.
Quay Crowner calls herself a career vet, having worked in federal jobs for over 3 decades. But at 55 years old, while employed by the Department of Education.
So how did you find out you were being let go?
An email.
And she's not alone. The latest jobs numbers revealing there were 319,000 fewer black women employed in July versus February.
What went through your mind when you realized that it's been many black women affected by jobs losses?
I saw the headlines, but I felt it first, and it was a conversation amongst my colleagues.
Since February, the rate of unemployment for black women rising by almost a percentage point, while the unemployment rate for everyone over 20 is staying flat and even declining for white and Hispanic women. The unemployment rate for black men also jumping.
The losses that have occurred over the first half of this year have disproportionately been borne by black women.
Valerie Ralston Wilson is director of the program on race, ethnicity, and the economy at the Economic Policy Institute. She says the Trump administration slashing jobs across federal agencies is having an impact.
We're cutting down the size of government. We have to. We're bloated. We're sloppy.
We know that black women are about 12% of the federal workforce, which I believe is about double their share in the workforce overall. So losses in that sector, you would expect to have a larger impact.
Ashley says, why is it just on black women? Well, it's not on just black women, but black women are the ones that are being disproportionately affected by government jobs because historically they do not seek private sector jobs more than they seek government jobs. And let me tell you why, Ashley. I'm going to give you the game, all right? This is what happens. This is a cycle. And this is why, I'm just going to be real. This isn't targeted towards black women. This is the articles that's being presented, right? This is how it happens. Women have long championed the idea that they have degrees and men, specifically black men, are being left behind and they not educated. I did a video last week, where a woman said, I will not talk to a man that don't have a bachelor's degree. She ain't say nothing about whether or not he got money, his own business, if he got good character. She ain't say none of that, right? I've also done shows where women have said that men are being left behind based off of education because when they go into these classrooms, it's disproportionately women on campuses getting indoctrinated by the plantation of Democrats and liberals more than men. Well, here's the other side of that though, right? Is that all of these women took out student loans. So I don't see men on the apps like this. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Trump is requiring student loans. Men ain't saying that. You know what men are saying? And that's messed up. You know what else was happening? They wasn't going into STEM field programs disproportionately. They were going into liberal arts, basic stuff, marketing, business, regular stuff, right? And so while they were getting these underwater basket weaving degrees in African-American studies, they were always able to get a job for the federal government. And the reason why this is specifically about black women is because they labeled themselves as double minorities. Double minorities had greater opportunities in the federal government, considering that they were trying to keep the jobs report high and disproportionately saying that, hey, listen, jobs are still plentiful because they were subsidizing women going into these fields in the federal government. It did two things. It gave them a security blanket, and it also gave them an opportunity to forgive their student loans once they went on an income-based repayment plan. So it didn't matter how many student loans that they took out. You don't think that they knew what their student loan balance was going to be? They were looking for it to be forgiven until you no longer had that option. So you can go and borrow as much money from the federal government as you want because they knew that they was going to go on an income-based repayment plan for the next 10 years, that they would still be able to live their life, go to Tulum, tell guys that they're not worthy of talking to them, and then get their student loans forgiven like they actually paid them off. That was the play. For decades, for years. That has been the play. To leverage diversity, equity, and inclusion to get into positions and then get your student loans forgiven and have a career in which you were never affected by what was going on with layoffs. But now that we realize that the majority of those jobs were not needed and we needed to right size the government instead of allowing for it to become more bloated so that other people can have jobs instead of them adding value. And if you were so valuable, then that means that you wouldn't have any problem with all of your experience and education with going to get a job in the private sector. That's not happening. It's not happening. Again, because they were subsidized by the federal government, which is one of the reasons why they voted the way that they voted. It's no coincidence why Biden made a part of his campaign the first go round the idea that he would forgive student loans, a handout. That he would forgive student loans, a handout. What do you mean you're going to forgive student loans? You mean you ain't got to work for nothing? You could just forgive it? That's just the end of it? So what happens to the next generation of people? They can get theirs forgiven too? That's just the way that we go? Just get your student loans forgiven, huh? The Democrat Party keeps people voting for them by promising them things that taxpayers at large have to pay for. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. They wanted equal, but they never wanted to do the work that actually allowed for them to consider themselves equals. The linemen, the police officers, the firefighters, all of these type of jobs, the real jobs that keep America going, the electricians, the plumbers, you don't see a lot of women in those fields. Even when it comes to corporate America and leveling up, a lot of women expect to come off of paternity leave, or they expect to come from having their children and then waiting till their children are old enough to be able to go to school full time 5, 6, 7 years later. And then they want to jump back into corporate America and say equal work for equal pay. But most men don't have a break, maybe when they get laid off, but in a general sense, most men don't have a break between the time that they started working at 16, 17, 18 years old, all the way up until the time that they either die or retire, depending on which field of study that they go to. Very few men from the time, because see, we always like to talk about, well, men die earlier than women. We don't take a break. From the time that we open up our eyes, it's go time. All the way up until the time that we lay down. Every day for the rest of our lives. From the time that we step off the porch to the time that we close our eyes, we work for our entire lives. There is no breaks. Ever. Monday through Sunday, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days in a year. We don't miss because we can't afford to, because life is unforgiving for us. We didn't at large get any government benefits, food stamps, welfare, Section 8, diversity, equity, and inclusion, education, student loan forgiveness, working for public institutions and universities. We didn't do none of that. You know what we do? Sink or swim. Either you go homeless or you grind and you hustle. Either you get all of the accolades or you get thrown out of the mud. And that's natural. That's the true version. What you see today is the true version of natural selection. The only difference is that now we've added women into the equation. So where natural selection used to be based off of the greatest men get the spoils of war, meaning that the ones that go out and kill the most and get all of the meat, hunter-gatherer, the ones that get all of the success that comes along with all of the spoils of war, you got all of the women, you got all of the money, you got all of the accolades, history wrote your names in the books, and you had all of the kids. You had your pick of the litter. Now we're so focused on overcorrecting and equalizing everything because you wanted to invade in the men's spaces. But when we went back to hunter-gatherer, whereas Trump didn't basically establish that it's merit-based and not based off of diversity, equity, and inclusion, you don't get a job just from being black. You don't get a job just from being a woman. This is what you're seeing happening. And now more women are going back to traditional family values and roles and saying, well, you know what? I don't mind working, but I don't want to have to work. I'm looking for a provider male. Notice that when Kevin Samuels was around, it was, I want a man on my level. Now it's, I want to be in my soft girl era. And it's because you have a natural correction in the marketplace. And it's being showed not only in our jobs, but it's also being showed in our daily lives. Women are more homeless than ever. I got 1,000 homeless videos and I'm about to do a reaction to women living in their cars. Oh my God. The begging economy is booming on social media. The begging economy is booming on social media. SNAP benefits cut. Welfare cut. Section 8, you got to work 20 hours a week or volunteer or go to school. Oh, man, the begging economy is booming. You know, I didn't mean to do this. This is my last resort. If I could get all 1,000 of my followers to send me $1, I could make my rent this month. Oh, my God. Begging economy is booming. It's on 10. You know what Kevin called this? He called it winter. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. Listen, no matter what you think and what you say, there will always be, and when I say always, I mean always, there will always be a correction in the marketplace. Real estate, housing, stock market, .com bubble burst, relationships. It's the natural order of things. And no matter how far you get away from it, you always gotta come back to it. And you can complain about it or you can adjust and make sure that you win. You could be a winner or you could be a loser. It's up to you. 320,000 black women is not going back to work, has not been able to find jobs, and has not been able to compete. And this is not singular, this is black women, this is the market overall. But what they like to say is that when the world catches a cold, black people catch the flu. You know what I said in 2008? Not me again. Not ever. Not me, not ever. My biggest problem is going to be, and this is what I said, and this is what I declared to myself, and I declare that every single man should declare this for themselves because it absolutely kept me on my path and my pivot. Every single man should declare this for themselves. My biggest problem will be that I make so much money that I'm going to be trying to figure out how to get rid of it instead of not making enough money to figure out how it is that I can learn to live a lifestyle. I'm going to be in abundance, an abundance mindset. Shout out to the bag chasers. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I'm never going to adjust to try to make sure that I can live a certain lifestyle. I'm going to make more money because I'm committed to the lifestyle that I'm already living, that I'm already on the path for. That's my declaration. I don't sit there and say, oh man, I'm going to have to pare it down. I say, how can I make more money so that I can afford to do what I want to do? Oh, I got to make some more investments. Okay, well, long-term vision, execution, this is how we going to move. My declaration was for success. And when everybody else suffered, I was going to be walking around with bags of money. I said, God, I learned the lesson the first time. You'll never catch me slipping again. They'll never catch me slipping again. 08 is going to be the last time. Next time, I'm going to be ready. And I'm going to capitalize off of the market. 08 was the last time. Next time, I'm going to be ready. When everybody was getting all with they britches during the pandemic, oh man, we going to be living this life forever. We never going back to work. I said, are y'all crazy? Are y'all smoking crack? Why are y'all buying houses way out there where it's away from your job? Why you moved out of town? I know a woman, true story. I know a woman that moved way out of town, was working remote, moved way out of town, and I mean to a whole nother state. And I said to Rita, I said, well, why would they do that? Because if they ever call them back into the office, what they gonna do? They had to take the buyout, quit their job. It's hard out here for a pimp now. They had to take the buyout because they couldn't get back. They had already committed to whatever it is that they was doing. It's hard out here for them now. Almost every single thing that I predicted, from the Florida real estate market to what was happening in California with their real estate market, to what's happening in the market as far as people going back to work, to working from home, to how the economy is going, to the interest rates, to how you need to be moving, to what you should be investing in, to the explosion of certain companies. Been talking about it for years and years and years. But I told people, I said, listen, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over a period of time. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to say that I told you so. You may not necessarily want to heed what I'm telling you now, but I'm going to tell you I told you so. And the people that made the investment or was smart or made the adjustment and paid attention and start making moves so that they can capitalize off of what was going on, they're the ones that benefited from it. Happens every time. And I still do it because every prediction that I make is to ensure that we are successful 5 to 10 years from now. So I evaluate what's going on and I make adjustments. Facts, Sabrina, 100%. And I'm going to preach it to the mountaintops, and those that have ears, let them hear. Said if you're in your 40s, 08 was make or break. But I was 26. I wasn't in my 40s. I was 26 years old. I had a new child, a newborn baby, born February 2008, and I was in Detroit, the hardest hit market in the United States of America. So every day was make or break. Every day it was living on the edge. Every day it was hustle. Went out and I hustled for 16, 17 hours every single day. I hustled so hard that my feet was hurting every day. Come home, get my feet rubbed to try to get the aches and the pains out of it, and I would fall asleep. I wake up the next day and get to it. And it was no stopping, Monday through Sunday. It was never stopping. I said, I got to get this bag. I got to get this bag. Got to get this bag. Common sense says the job market affects everyone, not just black people. Okay, so what's your point? Run your race. Run your race. So what you talking about? What they got to do with anything? What you trying to equalize? What you trying to make sure that you sympathize and embrace how the job market is affecting black people? Boy, run your race. Run your race. Comparing myself to nobody else, I'm running my race. What you talking about? The job market affects more than just black people. No kidding, Sherlock. Run your race. What you so worried about what everybody else is doing? You think I'm worried about? I'm not comparing myself to people that's getting deported. You know why? Because that's not my plight. I'm running my race. I got my own race to run. I'm not worried about what everybody else is doing. Jose and Jesus over there, they got bigger problems that they got to deal with right now. That ain't my race. I'm running my race. Sounds like a personal problem. Maybe one day they going to come back over here and say, look at this, because you had a leg up. You got dog right. I got a leg up, and I ran my race.